Good evening. You're listening live to the Extreme Movie Show. I'm your host, Rob, broadcasting to you, as usual, from the moon-protected enclave of the Pine Hills Palace in the Extreme Studios, just west of Orlando, Florida. I have from the Great Midwest the supermoon-avoiding gentleman named RDV. As I always say, the Great Midwest RDV, because great things happen in the Midwest. Firefighters, earthquakes, tornadoes, snow, ice, and, of course, what we're going to be talking about tonight's movie, 2024, Werewolves, starring Frank Grillo, a B-level movie with a C-level attitude. You want to say something, sir? Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't think you need to come out and say you're moon protected if you're in a hole in the ground. Nothing is getting to you. You're in a hole in the ground.
The depth of density of the material that surrounds you is in relation to the intensity of the radiation coming through you, which would describe what happens here. Because, ladies and gentlemen, we're back to werewolf movies where there's definitely some negatives to talk about, but some positives about. This is a movie that here, I don't know where you're at, RDV, up there specifically, in that, I don't want to assume that things are playing the same. This is playing at some Central Florida theaters currently right now. This just came out about a month ago.
It was scheduled to release back in December 6th of last year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not in any theaters by me anymore. It's out.
Next.
Yeah, literally. And say Lou Diamond Phillips deserves better. You forget he was in 1998. He was in a movie called Bats.
I did mind Bats, just like I don't mind this one.
And that's why I go into this. Going into this movie, what do you think it's going to be? You think it's going to be an A-level, top-notch thing? No, it's going to be turning on Sci-Fi Channel, and that's what you get.
Yes.
And if you go into that, if you go in that one mindset, it's a Sci-Fi Channel movie. You'll be fine.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing too. It's kind of fun. Here's the thing, though, RDV. My disappointment with this movie is it could have been more fun. And here's the thing. Here's a couple positives. Looks great. The werewolf stuff's not scary, but it's practical effects. I believe it's people wearing suits. Like I think I don't know if we reviewed Dog Soldiers or Creepshow 3 or wherever we see them. They're not bad looking. There's something here, right?
It's a guy in a bodysuit, so you can especially tell when you see the guy wearing the wolf killer vest, the SWAT vest,
we'll get into that here in a second. Absolutely.
But I'm just saying, so it actually is guys in suits. It makes a little bit of CG, a little bit of lighting, stuff like that.
Lens flare. I love me some lens flare.
So, oh my gosh. So here's the thing: if you were going to think about watching this, and you have epilepsy.
Yeah, the photosensitivity thing definitely applies for this.
Because there's a lot of strobe lights in here, which gets kind of annoying for a few minutes. Well, and because the reason I'll say this because the facility gets destroyed where they're at, so the lights are going on sporadically, off and on.
Yep.
And even I was just like, dude, I'm watching the dark. I'm looking behind me. It's like it looks like I'm getting electrocuted. So the lights go. Yeah.
The biggest negative to this movie is not the writing, not the stupidity of it. I actually like the idea of it. The general setup is a year ago, whatever year it's supposed to be, there was what they call a super wolf moon. And somehow it turned a bunch of people into werewolves. And so this year, the government, whoever they are, have decided, okay, we're prepared for it, kind of, sort of. We've got some... we got people from the CDC, and Lord knows we love them.
Yeah, a super moon activated a latent dormant cell.
Yeah,
over the globe. So
we'll accept the bullshit reason for why 1 billion people are turning into werewolves around the world. And it was kind of cool at the beginning when you see everybody like boarding up and doing the purge thing, right?
Because that's kind of it's purge with werewolves.
It's like the purge with werewolves, but. He goes over to his neighbor who's firing off some guns. And he's like, "Man, what the hell are you doing? You're firing a gun at the stuff in my kids in the the house next door." He's like, "Well, yes, Captain," and da da da. And so basically, he's the gun nut guy, right? And he's like,
"Do you recognize who that guy is?"
Not off the top of my head.
That's the writer and director of Southie.
Okay, that means nothing to me.
That was the Donnie Wahlberg movie back in the 1990s.
So he's wearing this vest, and it's basically says "God, guns, guts," sort of, kind of, not really, but you get the point.
Yeah.
And so when you go and he sees his brother's ex-wife with a really cute girl, she's got great hair in here. He's like hooking up the stuff, getting them ready because not only did he serve in the military, he's a microbiologist, right? And he's on the front line because he used to be, I guess, spec ops or whatever. So he's the jack of whatever. And it's silly, but I loved the line early on where I thought, man, they're really taking the camp thing seriously, which says, what are you talking about? Have you seen what's going on in Sydney right now? Have you seen? And so they're saying that, hey, basically you can see real time what's happening in the world as the Earth is rotating and the moon's going through. And I thought that's kind of cool, right? And they got the monitors up, so you're like, okay, it's going to be hokey action. My biggest problem with all this is I wish they would have leaned into the camp a little bit more. And I know it's hard for me to say it because this is not a horror movie. This should have been
like boss level.
It should have been where they kind of use the Wolfman as like a parody of action accounts. And here's where I dig into the problem with it, but there's some great scenes in here. This is the type of movie where, of course, they have a few test subjects on there that they're trying this moon. I swear to God, it's moon sunscreen, right? To protect them from
pretty much
light.
contact liquid they put in your eyes, and then they spray you down.
Yep.
It's supposed to last for like an hour, I guess.
The flashing lights suck, and it's at night, so that sucks. I've talked about that, how that really doesn't allow you to watch it. And I get it's low budget. The worst thing here, RDV, honestly, this is not a hot take. I think the action is horrible, and I don't mean the guns. I don't mean the creative ways to try to kill, which to me there wasn't that many of them. There could have been. It's the fact that when you see like them throwing people, you see them like grabbing somebody, and then they cut to where somebody's flying through a window. Or like you see one of them like kick somebody, and it's like worse than like an AEW watch.
The only thing I saw that was kind of dumb. How do you target AEW? WWE does all the time, bro.
You're right, wrestling. See, got delayed there. See.
So the only time I saw bad fighting was when Cody, his basically Frank Grillo's neighbor, who's basically a gun nut. He's pro gun, NRA and all that stuff. They don't have an NRA cap on him, but he has all the guns and stuff. They're kind of.
It's very obvious. Yeah, we'll talk about that at the ending.
So anyway, it's basically Frank Grillo and Katrina Law. Katrina Law is all. She's basically a veterinarian or animal doctor or pathologist for wolf stuff. So she was also there too. Ilfenesh or Ilfenesh. She plays Frank Grillo's like his brother's widow.
Dead brothers. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then you got Gary over there, and the little girl plays her daughter. So that's he basically sets. I love how they set it up. Yeah, in the beginning they set up the fact that they make sure everything's all boarded up. They got the electric fence, they got the pepper spray on it on the fence and all stuff. A lot of cool stuff. The cameras.
So that was cool, right? The way they're setting up, starting off the movie.
Yeah, so they leave. Cool. So they leave. The only problem is that we learn, like, as we go through this, the wolves, because they're werewolves, they're not normal. When wolves in general are smart. Yep. That's the thing, too. Now you're making it, what do we call a lupus canine as far as werewolf, thing, hybrid. And so while his neighbor just as the sun goes down, he's sitting there. He's all, the dude's like jacked up. He might as well did a line of coke. That's kind of wired he was. He was kind of anxious. This, I guess if there was like a refrigerator at him or something like that, and he knocks, and that's so they bust through his wall, and he gets knocked back. Problem is that he doesn't get hit by the refrigerator. He gets pushed back before the refrigerator. That's the only time I saw a botch as far as the stunt stuff. But as far as the action goes, I thought it was pretty decently well. I would have loved more camp in this. When hey, werewolf, fuck you, and then show them. I would have loved something like that, like Boss Level, what Frank Grillo did. Which is an awesome movie. I recommend that. If you didn't check it out, Boss Level 2019 is on Hulu. Awesome. Katrina Law was actually in here for a lot longer than I thought she was going to be. Lou Diamond Phillips, he at this facility, he's in charge of it. They're going to test it out. They got these test subjects. And there's like 4 of them. One of them is the husband of one of the scientists that's working there.
Right.
The other one is like a crazy Steve Buscemi one, kind of like, he's just kind of like, he wants to train. And then there's this girl who changed her mind the last minute. She doesn't want to be there. And there's another guy. And just basically things go wrong. The serum wears off. The retractable roof. I hate retractable roofs. Why does anybody decide to sign for anything, for baseball, for football, whatever? So it gets ajar and will not close all the way. So the moonlight's there, and so you get all this steam going in their fog and stuff. They can't see. They got these guards. Are basically what's really cool is the guards, and Frank Gro's also wearing these suits too. It's a hazmat suit, and on the inside of his suit, it shows you that like the Tony Stark cam. When he's a helmet, and it shows you how much oxygen they have left. I thought that was really cool because I love it when you see that in a lot of stuff. But you don't, as far as sci-fi movies, tells you how much oxygen you have left and everything because they don't be contaminated. Because remember, they can't have the moonlight on them. Mm-hmm. So Lou Diamond Phillips gets knocked over. He starts to change, and he's like, "Get out of here!" And then the whole facility basically gets like, Werewolves of London, and it's just like the wolves design. I thought actually worked pretty well. If you stare at it in our thumbnail, I actually changed the color. It actually was supposed to be a blue tint. I changed it to red because I thought it looked a little cooler. But you can tell if you look at them close enough, it's a mask that moves up and down with your chin.
But it doesn't look bad.
No, but when they use the CG though, there's this neighbor girl who basically, she's in her home. And she's getting popcorn, and then she hears a noise, and then she thinks her, doesn't know what's going on. But then you see her back in the kitchen because she starts in the dark hallway. She heard a growling. She backs up, and then you see a wolf in the kitchen on its hind legs and all. And it actually looked kind of freaky. It looked like the Beast Bray Road.
It did. It made me go, wait, are they going to do this serious?
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
So, but of course, though, she ends up running across the street to his Frank Grillo's
that guy's woman's house,
his sister-in-law's, the firefighter's house, and she's like, "Let me in," and she's got the tarp overhead because remember, if you wear a tarp, you can't. As long as you don't see the light or get sunlight on you, you're fine, or not sunlight, but the moonlight. But then next and she's like on the phone with Frank Grillo. He's like, "Dude, we went over this. If somebody knocks at the door, you don't let them in." He's like, "No, I gotta let them in." And the first half of this movie, this girl is just so freaking annoying until it's time to nut up and shut up.
I didn't like that. It was so obvious.
She was the worst actress in the movie. The kid was great.
She was fine. Yeah.
Like everyone else was great.
Well, they unnecessarily kill this blonde girl off, right, to show how brutal it's going to be. And I thought some of the stalking scenes were good because there's a shot of them ascending on the house a little bit. Yeah. But to your point that you mentioned with wolves, that they are very intelligent and the way they do stuff in packs is interesting. But there's a shot where it's in the middle of a tree and the street light, just it's a regular neighborhood, kind of comes through it. I'm like, hey, that's kind of cool.
Salem's Lot?
Well, you know what? Salem's Lot is absolutely stunning visually speaking.
But I mean,
but it's not. It reminds you of that a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, because he's up and you see him in the tree, you see the silhouette and you see the fog and you kind of see the eyes a little bit. But
my favorite one though, and this is where they should have went full camp, is when they're escaping the institution and they're trying to get across the street or whatever like that. They just managed to get underneath, one of the emergency things, slide down, being chased or whatever that. And
the
thugs are taking
the mall
over.
Gates, the locking gates.
He's pointing the gun at the guy, and the guy's got the knife at the neck of the girl. He's like, "Give over, reason I should kill you." He's like, "We just want to use the tunnels. We want to get out of here. We don't, da 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 da. We're scientists. We're see." And it's like, "I'll take you to the tunnels, and then you can take it from there." And it's like, okay, they're in a tunnel. I'm like, okay, that's kind of stupid. Nothing happened.
Yeah.
But the best. This is where I thought they should have went full camp. They're walking and they're coming to a gate, and he's thinking he's going to have to shoot the lock because it's this long, dark tunnel. And while they're talking and they're facing you and all that with the fence there, you see the old classic bullshit shot of somebody like a ninja lowering themselves down behind them and then coming and standing back up. And it's so bad, but I'm like, that's pretty cool. And then there's the chase sequence across the alleyway where people are fighting with the 50 cal and all that. And it's like, okay, this is where they should have hammed it up a little bit.
Well, yeah, I'm just in the tunnels down there in the sewer stuff. I would have loved just having like a wolf come up behind him in the dark. That would have been gnarly, Because I know obviously this movie was they weren't going for camp; they're going for more of like scare tactic stuff.
Well, this
movie's like you said, this action. It's supposed to be an action with a mixture of horror in it, or I guess scary supernatural because the werewolves
at all.
Well, that's because Rob, you were desensitized to things.
It's not true. I have a big heart, sir. That hurts my feelings after all we've been through. My goodness, please don't make me cry while we're live.
I'll never.
No, here's where I thought they could have made it even campier. And this is again one of the criticisms I've got about the movie is that if they're going to go full camp, do it right. So when they're crossing the street at one point, him and her, and it's like, okay, she's doing an okay job keeping up, and okay, it's going to be these two. I swear I could be wrong, but I thought and if they didn't do it, and I mistook what I thought this building was, they should have included it. When we think of werewolves, what do we think of? We think of silver, and we think of holy ground and holy water stuff.
There was no.
I thought they should have went. They should have taken the werewolf type of stuff and made fun of it. Where someone's like, "Yeah, and I've got the silver bullet." It's like, bro, this is a virus. This isn't like the supernatural. Because the very ending scene, they totally rip off the Hammer Dracula sequence on how it ends, which we'll get to in a moment.
Well,
but I thought they had so many opportunities where they could have set up some of these scenes to just kind of do it their way and have some fun with it. That's what I'm saying.
I was gonna say it's not just Hammer. It's just like it's Morbius. It
started with Hammer.
It's Underworld.
Started with Hammer.
I know, but I'm just saying.
No, you're bringing up all these samples. I don't know. I'm glad you're doing that. So what are some of these movies?
So
Morbius.
So basically, you have the bad guy fights Morbius. You have the good vampire who ends up going against the bad vampire. They never liked each other when they're human. So like, it's kind of the same thing here. They're gonna have a fight. Might as well be in the rain,
But that's not what I mean, though. RDV.
Yeah.
What I'm referring to is in Dracula. I'm talking about Peter Cushing running across the dinner table because the sun's coming up and letting the sunlight through to destroy Dracula.
I'm looking forward to the new Wolfman movie. What's up?
Absolutely. This is the guy that did The Invisible Man a couple years ago. Totally going to be seeing that. That's going to be pretty awesome looking to me. I just saw the trailer for it. I think that's coming out this weekend. We'll see about whether it's next weekend that we go ahead and review it. Definitely is on my short list.
Yeah, like I said, I'm looking for movies to come out this year. And honestly, I thought that movie was going to come out last year, but I guess it got pushed or was originally slated for this year.
Well, when you said the werewolf movie, I was like, wait a minute, that hasn't come out yet. And then you mentioned, no, it's the Frank Grillo, and I'm like, oh, that.
I wanted to do
it's just the season for werewolf movies.
Yeah, I don't understand that. But I guess they're doing Nosferatu at the same time. I'm like, why aren't these Halloween movies? Why are these like in the middle of winter where no one's gonna go out and venture, especially up here in the north, where it's freaking balls cold?
That's what they're doing in January, is dumping some horror movies there. They've been doing that for a few years.
It's like
a thing because they can get a different audience they think that might capture some of their budget.
This is what if you're gonna have such a low budget movie, have it go straight to streaming. Why put it in theaters? Because I don't see like, oh my gosh, I gotta go see the Frank Grillo movie. He's not really star power. Although they try to make Katrina Law and Frank Grillo and Lydia and Phillips, does he really have much star power anymore? He did back in the day, but he's always been a B movie guy, but never like a level
in the 80s. No, but maybe since then, I would say, right?
Yeah. Like he's never reached. Lydia and Phillips was never at the level of Bruce Campbell. Let's say Bruce Campbell is super popular for his stuff. Not to say that Lydia and Phillips hasn't been in some cool movies, but he's mainly since he did Bats back in 1999 or 98. He hasn't really done anything other than like maybe some sci-fi movies.
He's been on an episode or two of Psych where he plays a really, really good FBI agent.
But I mean, like, he's never risen a star power, where he's actually done some A-list movies. He was never the lead guy. He's always a supporting character. So
I'd say what the funniest scene was that made me think how this should have went into camp totally was the fact that we mentioned how the gun nut neighbors got the it's not quite the Canadian tuxedo because that would be denim, but he has the leather jacket on, right, like Stone Cold Steve Austin. So Frank Grillo does what any hero would do at the end. He ends up at the house even though his partner gets violently killed, and we're like, okay, it's on. He ends up in there with
we're led to believe she gets basically.
This is what we're believing at this point, correct?
Yes.
But he's in there with her. and the little girl, and we don't want to see the little girl get killed because she's got beautiful hair and she's great. We don't care if the woman gets killed because she's an awful actress, even though she, of course, wins with the axe of her dead husband because it's so trophy-eyed, and you see that there early on. But he says, you know what? I'm giving you my watch. My watch has 15 minutes left on it. That's when the sun comes up.
You really
Whatever you do, don't die, right? So what does he do? He goes out to go one-on-one in the street, dukes up, hey, come here, to have a fight because he turns into a werewolf. And how do you know which werewolf is which, RDV? In the rain, in the dark, with really crappy CGI. You know, because what vest they're wearing.
Well, okay, well, you're glossing over about another third of the movie, though. I think it's the ending.
Well, let's be honest. Some of this movie, you could just go, hurry up and fast forward a little bit, right?
Honestly, I had no problem with the movie. I enjoyed it. I wasn't one of the movies like, oh, it's horrible.
Slow. It's a little slow.
I felt like Hard Killed. Was it Hard Ticket to Hawaii was worse than this.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
No. So basically, yeah, they going back to the middle of the movie where you kind of jumped over it and you hop skipped at the end because you're like, fuck this movie. No. Katrina and Landín, like they come across these basically like the Purge. Like there's a couple of guys basically who are killing wolves. They got the minigun and stuff in there. She tests out a theory basically is that since they're using the serum on them, the werewolf does not look at them as being human or prey. It actually like growls in her face and she yells back. And this is stupid though. She yells at him and then he yells back. She's deaf. Her ears are bleeding. There's no way she's hearing anything after he roars in her face.
Was that aliens?
But, yeah, right. I feel like Eleanor Rigby. Or Ripley.
That's the Beatles, bro. Come on.
Sorry.
Ripley.
Anyway.
I love you when you're
name. So basically, yeah. As they're running, getting in the vehicle, it starts to rain, and they get in. He gets in, because she basically distracts him. So that way he gets to the car, the Humvee, and then when she goes up there, and then she's like, "Oh yeah, happy." And then she gets yanked in the sky, and just gone.
Like Myers breakout scene.
It's like whenever you watch a vampire. It's like when you watch a vampire movie. Someone gets picked up and they're gone.
You know what would have been cool in here? A vampire driving a car, like a pickup truck or something, or an SUV.
Nah. So okay, after this, he does drive home. Meanwhile, though, they said his sister-in-law is dealing with Cody Walker. That's they went with the name is Cody Walker. I don't know why, but that's what they did. So that guy has always been a kind of tool, and since he turned a wolf, he got some other wolves, create his own wolf pack, bro.
For life.
I was like, yeah, for life. Bad. Sweet.
His name should have been Cody Whyte.
So he creates, and he's at first before he gets the wolf pack, he goes out he goes to the cage. He's in and she's on the monitor. He's like, Cody, you piece of shit, get away from us, leave us alone. And then he gets close to the camera. She sprays him with the mace. He gets his eyes all messed up, and he's like, howling stuff. Next thing he goes to a bird bath, and he's washing his face off. It's so stupid. But later on, he comes back, and he's like, gets a bunch of wolves. They start taking out the cameras. Meanwhile, she doesn't even know because she's just sitting there talking to her daughter, not even looking at the cameras. On Purge night, why would you not be looking at the cameras? And he's going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they all get knocked out. It's black, you said. So then she's like, he
gets the hot sauce in the eyes, and then they cut back to the werewolf, and he's in like a bird pond trying to get him to wash it out.
I know, it's so stupid. Yeah, so I guess that was kind of funny. I was laughing my butt off at that.
That's what I'm saying. They could have done so much more if they just said, "Hey, let's pick a particular thing that we're trying to accomplish and do it." Don't start off when you tease us with good body masks and some decent shots, and then just go full camp. I mean, if you're gonna do it, go all the way.
So then eventually she notices, when the power starts going, because basically they grabbed a purse, or they all grabbed it onto the electric fence, and she knows the power starts fluctuating in her house. And she's, oh shit, maybe I should go look at the monitors. What's going on? And she's like, oh crap, they're out there. So she goes to the kitchen, grabs a shotgun, grabs a shot, and starts loading it up. And she's like, she grabs her daughter and she's like, okay, we're gonna because the power finally does go out. They light all the lanterns on the room, the little blue lanterns, and they're like, hey, you're gonna stay right here, stay with me. And then like the daughter just freezes there. And all the wolves are on the roof and the walls trying to get in, and she just fires off rounds at sounds here, sounds there. Eventually she runs out of bullets or shells, or so we think. Because then Frank Grillo shows up. He basically sees Cody in the road, and he hits him with the truck. He's like, just like he pins him against the garage wall. Goes inside.
He's still alive.
Yeah, he's and like
that's Halloween 2 for those who care.
So you're in there, and then they're realizing like he's like, you got a shotgun. She's like, we're out of shells. And he's like, okay. Well, he's like, he said, this is the part where he gives her the watch. He's like, there's 15 minutes left of sunlight. I gotta go do it. And he like, talks to the little girl. He's like, says like, your dad was proud of you. You grow up. You're strong. You have your dad's heart. You're a soldier. You're gonna be brave. And she's like,
I wanted him to look her in the eyes, just get that fatherly look, hand her a 9mm, and just put her hand around it, and say, the safety's off.
You just squeeze and pull. Squeeze and just pull.
I had all these thoughts going through my head watching, which is not a bad thing, right?
Oh.
The reason why this is a stupid movie, and it threw me off to that first act because of how it almost seemed good, is because, okay, they're boarding up their house, they're nailing it, but this is the second year this has happened, which is, okay, that's interesting. It's like, why y'all wait until about like 1:30 after siesta to start prepping your house, right? Like everybody looked like, last minute they're gathering supplies, right? When they have a year to prep.
We forgot to mention, they have like these evacuation centers underground where the people can go in bunkers to hide in.
I know.
I'm like, Godzilla coming? Why are we going to bunkers?
Exactly. So if you're gonna be stupid, be stupid. Don't try to tease us early on with going, no, we're a serious werewolf movie. And there are good ones out there like the How We Love Werewolf movies. We haven't done a lot of them, but the ones we have talked about have been actually pretty psychological and very good. This one is just a fun, campy kind of movie. I'm making fun of it, but in a good way.
So we got 15 minutes on the clock until basically like the sunlight comes out. So he's like, there's only one I can do. Is there any bullets? I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna kill a wolf. We're gonna go wolf the wolf fight and it's off. And then while we're out there, he's like, he's basically,
it's the pay-per-view everyone's been waiting for. It's the WrestleMania of werewolves.
He takes his jacket, and then he starts wolfing out and stuff. Frank Grillo versus Cody Walker, and then like the bell rings, they start fighting, and then he rips his head off.
That the ending's cool but disappointing because he gets the guy and like the guy's got a hold on him, and he reaches out like he's pulling his hair.
Yeah.
And then just in one shot, it comes off like kind of easily. I'm like, that's it?
Well,
really?
Frank Grillo worked on more.
Grand finale. Come on.
Well, because then this is her thing. They're like, okay, he defeated the enemy, but the sunlight's still not showing up, And we were like, what happens to the sunlight? Does he die? Because remember, like when people turn to vampires, like in 30 Days of Night,
right? Exactly.
He's basically died. He waits to die. But sunlight come up, so because he doesn't want to be a vampire for the rest of his life.
Everybody'd be in the basement if that were true, right?
Yeah. So.
And why isn't everybody wearing their sunglasses at night too?
Remember, Florida,
you could filter that out easy.
Remember, Florida, you guys don't have basements. Where are you gonna go?
Well, we got more guns than what they
werewolves versus crocodiles. But after he does this, and she's walking in, and she's like, he's trying to get back in. She's like, it's like, Bobo, don't come in here, and it's like, and then she sees the shotgun shell, the one shotgun shell that's left. She loads it in, and she's got the shotgun. It's like, don't make me kill you. Wait. And then at the last minute,
the photo out.
she's like, look, horrible. Look, this is you. That's me. That's your niece. It's like you. it's like, and he's like, oh. And then,
he gets the werewolf. Oh, look at me going on. It's so bad.
But then she's like, she's like, he's about to attack her, and she's like, well, fuck this. She pushes him aside, and she shoots the wall, so that's the sunlight coming in, and then he comes back to normal. Then they live happily ever after with no insurance for the walls or the ceiling. Probably. I don't think the insurance can cover that. Purge night.
Actually, that's an interesting thought that I don't want to dive too seriously in, because I'm going, the insurance market would wildly fluctuate on that too, and there definitely would be regulations pushed in some places.
Well, they're in California, so good luck with that.
Yeah. No, see, if he had taken the little girl who's just got tremendously beautiful hair in her, she's just really sweet looking. If he had did what I said with a fatherly look and gave her the gun and been very pro-gun about it, we could have saw her in the background, mommy, and then all of a sudden when he goes to rip out mommy's throat and all that because she's a horrible actress and that's why wolves kill people,
you would have seen
boom!
Yeah,
and you would have seen the smoke from the handgun of the little girl firing on it. And then you would have seen his eyes get big. And then what he would have done, he would have rolled over and turned human like at the end of American Werewolf in London.
Yeah,
and mommy would be okay.
That's why you don't give kids guns, because they murder people.
It's a werewolf at the time. That's self-defense, right?
It's her uncle.
But you know what would have been cool? If she did that, and then you're like, wow, she shot the guy, and the guy's now dead. Okay.
You know what would have been great?
You know what would have been great? Mommy goes over to her, picks her up, gives her a hug, and it's the over-the-shoulder shot. That's my baby. That's my baby. You did so good. I am so proud of you. Always remember, be brave, just like he told you. And then you know what? Then you see that little glare in her eye. That means she's got the wolf virus. That's your sequel.
I wanted his.
The children become werewolves.
They all have. They all have. Actually, no. They all have the virus in them. It's
right, but hers is activated.
What? Well,
and then it could be a daywalker werewolf, the first of the new virus 2.0.
All right, okay, backtrack all this. We're gonna go back to basically where the mom's showing the photo, and then she's hiding in the cabinet. She comes on, it's like Uncle Frank, this is me, and I do this drawing of us as a family. I'm a little done with that, but no, I don't want Nightwolf versus Daywolf. Like, I don't want that. That's kind of dumb.
That's sequel territory, bro. Print it. It's money.
No. Like I said, this is you're going into it's gonna be stupid humor, kind of like this. Like humorous situations, like stuff you're like, hey, why do you do this? And the biggest problem I had with the whole entire movie was the mom in this.
Yeah, I agree.
I finished Hadera because she was overly just like personality changed in the middle of it, like just towards the end when it comes to it. Otherwise, she's like nervous. She's like, oh, I can't do this. Very emotional. And then she's like, it's bitch mode now. Yep. It was just like, what? I was upset that Katrina Law was kind of taken out because they kind of had a chemistry. Frank Grillo and her were kind of, like if she would have survived, that girl would have had a
She just wasn't another sexy scientist from the CDC.
No, she was a badass.
She actually worked. She was pretty cool. Yeah.
They served in on a tour. They actually were Marine stuff. Yeah, Army, whatever. So that would have been cool. But it's what it is. You can find this movie through streaming right now. If you want to rent it, it's $20 to rent it through Fandango or Vudu, whatever. We can go see it in theaters, or you can just wait for it to come out, DVD or whatever. But yeah, I thought it was a decent movie. Like I said, going into it, I knew it was going to be low budget. The fact how quickly it was out, it was already on streaming sites. I was like, yeah, it's going to be bad.
I don't have a problem with that because here's the thing you and I have talked about. We mentioned this last week, is that I still believe there's a market for just popcorn movies that don't have to be particularly deep or messagey or, the hero's journey and all that bullshit stuff that I'll talk about when the movie's serious, right?
I still believe.
Well, we all still believe, right? In something, right? It's called
Joe Hendry.
And here, it is what it is, and it's fine what it is. I mean, werewolf movies do feel different to me than a vampire movie, and that's a good thing. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of really good mummy movies or some other classic monster or whatever. That's why I'm excited for next week when the werewolf movie comes out. I want to see what they do with that.
At least one good mummy movie. That's the first movie with Brendan Fraser.
Well, again, that's a nice, comedy action movie. So I'm talking monster.
It made more money than I'm saying for monster movies that made more than any of the other ones.
It was fun.
Yeah.
And I think here they said, you know what, we're not going to take ourselves too seriously. And I do not know the decision making behind it unless it was budgetary, because you hear how CGI today is supposed to be cheaper.
Yeah.
I really respect the hell out of the fact that they decided to keep a lot of practical effects there with the stunts, with the way they shot it. You can tell, but that's old school, and I would prefer to watch something like that. Honestly, I thought that stuff looked good. I mean, some of the editing and filming of it was crap, in my opinion. A few scenes here and there. I'm not going to distract from the fact that it's exactly what you said it was. It was kind of fun, but the fact that it made it into a theater to get a little bit of money before the streaming rights, that's not a bad thing. And if it makes a little bit of money, anything that happens now with a monster movie or a small movie like this, followers are going to come into it, right? So let's see what happens with it. It's not the best movie out there, guys, but it's not supposed to be, the best of the best. It's entertaining enough where if you like this sort of stuff and check your brain, it's fun. If you're high watching it, I bet it's a blast. Seriously.
Yeah, so basically this director, Stephen C. Miller, he's known for he did Escape Plan 2, Hades, First Kill, Arsenal, basically Lion Gates films. He did a couple of those. He worked with Bruce Willis, Nicolas Cage, John Cusack, Dave Bautista, all these people in the back. So this is his first time, doing some stuff like this before. But he said that he originally wanted to basically have real wolves in here. So when they turned it this direction, but they didn't have in their budget to do it. But so I would have been interesting if they actually would have had real wolves running around, when they fully transform. Because here's the other thing too. We talked about kids becoming werewolves. There was. And then when they're going to the gas station, they quickly got in there because they're trying to hide from the Moonlight Katrina line.
Oh, the bodega cat! I forgot about that kill. I'm so disappointed. That was funny because how does she die? The little girl.
So basically, the little girl in there, they're hiding in there because they have the serum, but they have to keep it cool, otherwise it won't work. So they put in the little freezer cooler, so by like the Gatorade and stuff, or ice cream. So they're letting it cool down. And he's waiting there, by himself, Frank Grillo. And all of a sudden, he sees this girl sitting at the other side, and she's kind of growling. He's like, "What's going on?" He's like, she turns around. She's like, she looks like, remember Beauty and the Beast with Linda Hamilton?
She looked like a snake from, well, maybe.
She looked like the Beast from Beauty and the Beast in the 80s miniseries. Yeah, it was like the lion kind of thing, her face. Yeah. And she's come to me, and he's like, he pulls his gun. He's ready to shoot her. He doesn't want to, though.
Because she's eating a cat. This is great. A bodega cat.
She's sitting there eating a cat. She's walking up, and he's like, "Okay, don't make me shoot you." And all of a sudden, like at the last minute, because she's getting ready to attack him. Katrina Long comes up and just tasers her.
A tase, yeah. So that's what I'm saying. They could have had a different kill, like we said for each one, like a tase, a this, or that, or whatever. We had the thing coming from behind. We could have done all these cute things, and we'd have come out and go, "Man, that was fun."
So would you have thought differently if he actually had pulled the trigger?
No. Well, here's the thing.
And have more kids come out, like when tracking him? Like, that would have been crazy. Like,
that would have been interesting, and that would have been a different take. And I'm saying, if you're going to do something like this and lean into it, and you're not trying to be serious as far as delivering a message, you're just trying to make a solid enough action film, 90 minutes. The phrase I think I'd brought up before that I guess is starting to get more popular, or maybe it already has been, I just came across it, but it's what we call a second screen movie, meaning this is something you put on while you're sitting there on your couch and you're scrolling through your phone or doing some chores or like that, where you're not paying attention. You can kind of mindlessly understand what's going on. There's an intentional acceptance in movie industry today in television to create content for it, because it's all about hours of content and what you own and what you can license out for fees. It's not about quality. So if they did something like that, I agree, that could have been very interesting. It's a whole bunch of kids or something, or maybe the kids don't turn and they're the secret. Maybe they have something in their blood. I don't know.
This is what I would have done. While he's gone to the thing, and she wanted his niece decides to sneak out because she wanted to go see him. She gets lost. He finally comes across her. She is the wolf girl, like he says in Bodea, thing, and he has to protect her at all costs. Where other people wanted to shoot her, put her down, and just he has to deal with that. That would have been great,
Yeah, and I'll say it reminds me of an excuse to mention, I think, one of the best werewolf movies that I've ever seen. Is something that I think surprised you. Yeah. And that, of course, is Wolfen with Albert Finney from, I think, like 81 or something like that, which they used the wolf real wolves is a metaphor for
Native Americans.
For Native Americans losing their ground, for imperialism, basically, which is the idea. And it's just done, and it's just kind of creepy feeling and interesting. So, but that might be something that people don't like.
That had the Predator vision.
Yeah, it did.
That's like, I don't know if anybody can use it now after Predator. Is that you're allowed to do that, or is that
the
licensed?
Technique? Predator doesn't own that. It's just that it was hard to do at the time, especially back in 81. It was a little easier to do it in 87, I think, is when Predator came out, right? And also, Predator's a big budget movie. You're going to have the budget for that. Here, let's be honest, there's a lot of directors that might go, I'm not going to be involved in that shit or put on an artistic thing.
Yeah.
I appreciate somebody that knows how to do a monster movie and knows that, you know what, I've only got this kind of a budget. What can I do with it? You guys, ladies and gentlemen, you definitely see a lot of werewolves in here, not just one. It's not one that turns and is causing havoc, and you're going, man, I don't have a budget. I've only got 2 suits. You see a lot of them. You see a lot of
the street. Yeah,
it's really like The Purge, which is low budget, a little more professionally shot, I think, and done. This is not bad for what it is. I mean, there's definitely worse out there.
One, you could say nerve-wracking scene a little bit in here, where they're coming there, the wolves are in the middle of the street and in the house, and they have to try and get past these wolves on the parked and destroyed cars.
That's a good scene.
They rolled under the van, and they're facing to each other so they can see what's behind them.
Yep.
And I'm just waiting for one. And also you see the wolf walking, it's wonking, and then it's growling, and then it looks down.
Yeah.
And just puts down its face down, and it's sniffing, but it doesn't smell them. And this goes back to my theory, and this is why she did this later. That she went up to, because the wolf can't recognize them with the spray on.
Yeah.
Yeah. It masks their scent, So I thought that was interesting, because I was like, how did he not like? That must be like a wolf that has no sense of smell. He must be all congested. Needs some nasal spray. But so I like that. But I'm like, that would have been crazy to have if they would have had one person under there with them who wasn't spray, and you see him get pulled out. That would have been nuts, and just see him get ripped to shreds.
Yeah. Sometimes when we have a movie,
because that was Crawl. Remember Crawl? The alligators just pulled.
Crawl was good. Crawl was good.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have a movie where you go, like I'm saying here, if they lean into the camp, it could have been fine. If they tried to be serious or do a different take, that's fine too. Sometimes you get annoyed or irritated because you go like, man, they played it safe. They could have, been a little more bold. It would have been better. Yeah. Or you go, man, I don't agree with what they did, but I'm fine with it because they were committed to it. This is a movie that when you're talking about this, the comments you're just making is, I don't know if there's a monster movie out that says I'm going to try to be scientifical about it. Like, you know what? Wait a minute. Why does somebody who's 5'10", 160-pound male, let's say, when he does this, he becomes 6 foot tall? That's a lot of extra mass. I'm not trying to say you're ruining the spirit of it, but you know what? Let's say you do turn into a wolf like this, but does that mean you've got 10 times the amount of smell vision or smelling ability that like a wolf would have or whatever? Your brain's not wired that way, because it almost seemed like they had a little bit of a human part in them too. But even though wolves are really smart, they didn't go there. But you could have tried tackling it seriously that way. To your point, hey, maybe there's more to it than this. Or like I say, if the kids weren't ones that turn, maybe they have something in their body before puberty that allows them to do it. They could have went smart if they wanted to, but they chose not to, and that's fun.
Having a movie with the predator vision, that's the point of view of the wolf itself. A guy like the Wolfman. If you did a modern version of the Wolfman, like they're gonna do this one, they're gonna do again here, coming up.
Yep.
Like next week or
this weekend, I believe.
Like the way I would do it is that have a guy who's basically turned into a werewolf, and you see it from his point of view. So when he turns, you see the predator vision and all that stuff, and and just kind of like think he's not all growling, but he's still kind of he's partially can think and stuff. They show that he actually is still in there, but trapped in this curse. Mm-hmm. Like I want something like that. I want to see like actually there's a werewolf that has a little bit of humanity there. So it makes you feel even worse for him, because like when they just go straight up as like animalistic, it kind of loses the appeal to me. It's like, well, he's no longer human anymore. It's like he's just a beast. Like I prefer when he's like got somewhat control. You can tell he's trapped in there, but he can't control his movements. I want to see that point of view. Like.
That's interesting. Yeah, I'll close with this. Just thinking about the I think you pronounce it Leigh Whannell's movie coming up here, the Wolfman or whatever. He wrote the first couple of Saws. He did Dead Silence, Insidious. He did his last 2 movies to me are A movies. Upgrade, I think, was one of the best movies of 2018, and 2020, The Invisible Man. I thought is a great modern take on what you do with an Invisible Man. It's what I call a very feminist movie, and I do not mean any negative thing about it at all. That's how you take something old and make it new again. And I really hope he's able to do that here with Wolfman. He's a guy that's very good at taking a low budget, making it look like $1 million. I think, despite what some people may think about the Salem's Lot movie from earlier this year, I would argue violently with anybody that you can't say this movie, it wasn't phenomenal looking, just incredible. And the soundtrack for it's phenomenal too. So there are people that can go, you know what, I can do this. I think this movie is not bad. It's fun. It's entertaining. It's like if you just want to kind of check your brain movie, check this out. But I'm really looking forward to the Wolfman. So how often, like I say, do we get Wolf movies? I mean, it's just incredible. We don't.
The last one was Benicio del Toro,
which I liked. But it kind of didn't do great comparing it. Yeah, from 2010. I still think that's a solid movie.
Was it 2010? I thought it was later than that.
I may be wrong. I'm just talking off the top of my head.
Hey, it might be that long. That's how long it's been. So
yeah,
you're right. So all right though. Yeah, check out this movie if you guys like werewolf movies, like low budget stuff. It doesn't really bother you. Like I said, if you're going in there expecting like, oh my gosh, why did they do this? Why did they do that? Like it's not an A-list movie. It's not like.
The violence will not make you sick.
Yeah,
it's
not.
It's a little
there's one thing where you see the back of the girl gets ripped open, but it's for a brief second, 5 seconds, and it's gone, and then she's gone.
Right.
Yeah, it's like the falling skies. People just get picked up and they're gone. The two aliens, like they did have some shots though. Like I said, when they're out in the town, like they show the wolves in the back, the pack. They're all they just haunted packs. So, like I said, I was kind of interested to see that the Cody Walker guy in here, the neighbor, actually, as a werewolf, was even more of a dick, and still had it looked like he still had his faculties.
That's my point. That's why they have the street fight, him versus him. I thought if they played that up at the beginning a little bit more with animosity.
See, I would have loved it if it was in the middle of the lawn.
Yeah, rolling around.
Yeah, like Lethal Weapon.
Sprinklers going on. Or you know what would have been one more funny scene now that I'm thinking of it? They could have had a wolf. They could have cut to it. And they do this stuff in like some early zombie movies from the 80s. They could have had a sprinkler going off in somebody's yard, and the wolf, like a German Shepherd, goes there and just starts biting the water, spraying out of it. That'd have been hysterical. I don't think you've ever seen that shot in a movie. This is getting my creative juices flowing, sir. Final thoughts? Anything else we need to wrap up?
Nah, I said check this out, and then there should be. I'll put a poll up later on tonight, and you guys can vote on for what's going to be on Sunday. So, all right. Have a good night, guys, and stay extreme.
Yeah, good night, everybody. Take care. See you Tuesday.
Sunday?
Because it's on tight, yeah.